credit repair hacks nobody wants to share with you for free? I've got you. This is part 10 of the 25-part series where we are talking about credit repair secrets nobody is going to tell you. My name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. If you haven't by now, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Give me a huge thumbs up. Most importantly, watch all of the videos in the playlist below. I have tagged it for you guys so you can learn all of the secrets, hacks, and everything that people are charging you thousands of dollars to join their program or do this and that to learn. Not over here. There is no gatekeeping. I am exposing these hoes. Nonetheless, in part 10 of today's video, we are talking about the statute of limitations, and that is with debt, of course. The statute of limitations is basically the time clock that creditors have to sue you in court. And this is really important information because a lot of people, again, misunderstand this information, and a lot of times they don't pay attention to this type of information. But every state is different. So what I've done inside of this guide here is give you a breakdown, and I've included all of the different states and the statute of limitation for each state. So for those of you that watch my videos and are familiar with me, you know I'm here in California, the good old West Coast, where everything is an arm and a leg, and we have to work 5 jobs, 10 side hustles. But on the real, it's really expensive to live here, and eventually I want to leave. This is the statute of limitation for each state. Now, generally, when we are looking at these numbers, we're primarily going to be focused on written contracts because essentially that's what most of our debt would probably be considered, would be written contracts. Like we signed up for a loan and we signed the loan application, which is essentially a contract, right? And we agreed to the terms. And if we stopped paying our written agreement, then of course a creditor could potentially sue us for this debt. And yes, it has happened to me. It has happened to many of my clients, and it can be very scary. All right. But understanding what that statute of limitations is for you and what that might mean. So basically what that means is, and I've put that all here in the guide for you guys. So when does the statute of limitations on debt actually begin? Well, that's a great question. And of course, I put that all here in the guide for you. And there is a link below to purchase this guide. If you are a part of the credit community, you'll have access to this guide along with all of the replays. And I have left the link below to join the community, guys. Now is a great time because prices are going up. Yes, they are. And not everyone is going to have access in the near future. So join now, and I will give you a special bonus from joining. If you mention that you watch the 25-part series on YouTube about the credit repair secrets, I will give you access to all of my courses as well, lifetime access there. But this is all for you guys to learn and then earn. Now, statute of limitations, basically what that means is, say, for example, you first missed a payment on July 1st, 2024. If your statute of limitations was, say, 5 years, then a creditor would not be able to sue you after July 1st of 2029. Now, they could still try to collect on this debt. That's not going to stop that. But it just means that once the statute of limitations has passed, they cannot sue you in court. All right. And what happens is a lot of times creditors, collection agencies, they will purchase debt and they'll get incorrect information and they will sue you once the statute of limitations has passed. Now, technically, they cannot do that. However, if this does happen, you do not want to ignore the situation and say, well, I know this is wrong. Well, they don't, and the courts don't. So you have to follow through with everything, because if you do get sued, you have to deal with it. If you don't do anything about it, it's not going to end well for you. If you get sued, if you get served, and it's for debt, you have to show up. If you don't show up to the court, they're going to get what's called a default judgment. So the collection agency is going to win by default because you weren't there to protect yourself. All right. So please pay attention to these things, open them, read them, provide the information that is requested. And many times people can beat these cases because they don't have a correct information. And, it's honestly very easy to do because this is what these collection companies do. They just sue people to scare them into paying. And a lot of times they end up winning because consumers just don't show up to court. They think, well, I don't want to deal with it for whatever reason. I've got to work. I've got this. No, you need to deal with it or else you're going to lose by default. Okay. Make sure that you understand what these look like for your state because every state is different based on written contracts, oral contracts, promissory notes, and opened-end accounts. Like I said, most of the time we're kind of going to be focused on like written contracts, but in some states, like for example, Illinois, the statute of limitations is 10 years, Kentucky, 15 years. So, every state is a little bit different, but for the states like California, Pennsylvania that are 4 years, Texas is 4 years. Thank you. At least I can bet on that, right? Because some of this stuff is just ridiculous. Like 20 years? Are you freaking serious? Like that should be illegal, right? Knowing this information, being empowered to be educated on this type of information is half of the battle. Because guys, this is how collection agencies are able to take advantage of consumers and literally scare them into paying, even though the data is inaccurate. Right? The amounts cannot be verified. Now, if you are like, hey, I know this debt is mine, I just want to pay it, right? Because it's going to make your credit profile better. There's nothing bad about paying old debt. And I actually recommend that you do pay it because it's not going to just go away. And once you get past the statute of limitations, all that means is they can't sue you for the debt any longer, but they can still collect on it. They can still report it, right? In the last video, part 9, we talked about the difference between the date of first delinquency and the DOLA date, which is the date of last activity. A lot of people mix that up, but that's really where your time clock starts. The first time that you became delinquent on an account that caused it to charge off or go south, that's when your time clock starts to ticken, right? Same thing here. The first time that you became delinquent, that is when the time clock starts ticking. I hope that helped, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't watched all of the other parts of the 25-part series, watch them because I give you the information that you need to know, not what you want to hear, because if you knew better, you would do better. All that you have to do is take action. I'll see you next time.